Hi, it's me. Um, just wanted to apologize for not getting back on these. I had a little bit of a problem with uploading things directly onto YouTube, so I actually had to get software to start doing these locally and then upload it to YouTube separately. Didn't want you guys thinking I'd forgotten about you, and we do still have a backlog. I'm going to try to get to as many of those as possible. But there was one that I've been meaning to get to for a while. Jenny was asking us about whether or not it's true that the grieving process for the loss of a loved one is really a 1 to 2 year process, and the answer to that one is it can be, but that's not a good hard and fast rule to go by. Um, I know the general conception is that time heals all wounds. That's not always true. I know somebody who never gets over the grieving process of a loved one. Um, it depends on the individual. There are a lot of different schools of thoughts on it, but if you're going to go to this particular topic, I'd start looking at the specialists in grief counseling. Normally, I'd have a bunch of links in this, or at least recently, I've been trying to put in links to the sources on the internet that I'm going by on this. And what I'm actually going by for this question is a textbook that I used when I was studying psychology. It's by J.W. Warden. It's Grief Counseling and Grief Therapy, a handbook for the mental health professional. Um, or practitioner, sorry. I think I had second edition. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I can find it. I'll link to the latest edition on Amazon and put it in the description here for you. He put forward that it's actually a task-based process, not a time-based one, and it really doesn't matter how long it takes. It's that you go through those steps, and the steps really there's only four of them, and it sounds really simple, but you have to remember that it's sort of like a Chilton book. Chilton book, for those who don't know, are the books that tell you how to repair just about anything with a vehicle. You can get it for the model of car that you have, and to change a transmission is like a seven-step process. It's really looks really simple, but step one is remove the transmission. So it's not really as simple as it puts forward. Um, Step one would be to accept the reality of the loss, and that's to understand that this person is dead. They're gone, and that's something you can't change. Now you can candy coat that with religious beliefs. You can rationalize it in terms of how long they had, but the reality is still there. They're no longer with you, and that's something that's very important to come to terms with. Step two would be to work through the pain of that grief that you're feeling, and that can be a process in and of itself. You're going to have resentment, it's anger, it's feeling that gap, that emptiness in your life, and that's something that you're going to have to grapple with and come to terms with. Next step would be adjusting to the environment where that person who's gone is no longer part of your life. It's missing, and that's something that can be really hard. And usually, it's something that comes and goes. You'll be doing fine, and then you'll see something that you would love to share with that person, and then it hits you again. So the idea of adjusting to the environment without that person can be really, really hard, but people can do it. That's going to be the one that holds you up the most. Now, step four, and the final step, is to emotionally relocate the deceased and sort of move on with your life. By emotionally relocating them, it's putting that experience in your past and just moving forward and trying to remember the good times, as it were. It's a tool that really helps. I usually recommend to remember the good and the bad times, not to canonize the dead, but to actually remember them for what they were. Um, and with that, um, you can actually keep that person in three dimensions in your mind. You can chuckle and share stories about the negative things that they used to do, the positive things that they used to do, but the idea is that you can't stop where that person left off. you have to continue moving on, and that's the point of all the steps actually. But with that four-step program, that's the process that I used and think of whenever I think of grief counseling. Um, Again, a lot of people will go, well, time heals all wounds. Time can also make all wounds fester and get bad. I know people who are 10 and 20 years past the loss of a loved one, and they still blame themselves. They still think that their life is over at that point, when it's really only over if you stop living it. So, and I don't think anyone would want that if they had a say in it. But it's it's something where, like, if I passed on, I would like my wife to continue with her life. I wouldn't want her to just stop dead in her tracks and have her entire life serve as a memorial to me, because that would be empty. And she's a very three-dimensional person, and I would like to see her continue on. I'm quite sure most of us would have the same thought line. So, yeah, in short, no, it's not a 1 to 2 year process. It's more based on what you can do with those feelings and how you can channel and work through things. Like most things with Ask a Psychologist, I will recommend that if you find yourself in a vast amount of grief and you need help dealing with it, there are specialists out there. There are grief counselors. And this is literally what they do. They work with you. They're specialists in helping you work through that and get past it. And it doesn't need to be like your spouse. It can be your parent. You can even just be a friend or just someone you know. But the fact of the matter is a lot of the problem that people have in dealing with their with the passing of someone that they know isn't so much dealing with the passing of someone they know. It's dealing with the fact that it's going to happen to them too. And while we can, just try to put that out of our minds for a while, it's something that we really have at the root of everything that we do. Everything dies. And I think a good question is, at any point when you're facing that, you look at what you take from that person's existence and going forward with it. Never lose value in that. You don't want to forget them, but you can't have your entire life circle around them. So no, I wouldn't make it as simple as a 1 to 2 year process. I think that's a myth. So uh, that should pretty much answer that. And again, this message is brought to you by our sponsor over at exoticenvy.com. Premier low prices, adult toys. If you're over 18, definitely go check them out. They're now shipping internationally. They were shipping to just U.S. and Canada. Now they're going pretty much anywhere, so that's pretty awesome. Go over and take a look at it. That's at www.exoticenvy.com if you're over 18. And thanks very much, and try to be good to each other. Bye-bye.